A few judges are still refusing to let gay and lesbian couples get married in Alabama. Texas has had its first lesbian wedding, and now state officials are scrambling to find a way to undo it. And some major national anti-gay figures are preparing to release a new manifesto to stop the freedom to marry. For the American Foundation for Equal Rights, I'm Matt Baum, and welcome to Marriage News Watch for February 23, 2015. Almost every county in Alabama is now issuing marriage licenses, but incredibly, a handful of judges are still defying the federal ruling. Depending on who you ask, there were 50 counties issuing licenses to gay and lesbian couples last week, but that still leaves around 17 where you still can't get married. A few judges have stopped marriages altogether for everyone, but most of the remaining counties are only turning away gay and lesbian couples. Judge Nick Williams in Washington County told people, quote, "I'm not worried about following the U.S. Constitution," which he probably should have mentioned before being sworn in as a judge. Meanwhile, Judge Roy Moore, the Supreme Court justice who started all this trouble, may now be in some trouble of his own. Moore is the one who told state judges that they weren't allowed to issue marriage licenses, but he really can't do that. The Human Rights Campaign has now collected 30,000 signatures on a petition calling for an investigation into whether Moore should be removed from office. Now, Moore's been down this road before. In 2003, he was removed from office by the Court of the Judiciary for making up his own rules about a Ten Commandments statue. But even if he's removed from office a second time over marriage equality, we still might not have heard the last of him. Ordinarily, Moore wouldn't be able to run for office again because he's approaching an age limit. But a new bill by a Republican senator would increase that age limit, so Moore would be eligible to run for re-election in 2018. There is one married lesbian couple in Texas right now. Probably. Last week, a judge allowed Sarah Goodfriend and Suzanne Bryant to obtain a marriage license, citing urgency after Sarah's ovarian cancer diagnosis. This ruling applies only to this one couple, and according to state officials, that's still one couple too many. Governor Greg Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, and Attorney General Ken Paxton all want to take the marriage license away from the cancer-stricken couple of 31 years that is raising 2 children. Ken Paxton has declared the marriage license void and that they are not actually married. But can he do that? Well, it's murky. He can certainly try. Attorneys general have lots of legal authority, but it's kind of unheard of to step in and unmarry a couple, particularly after a judge ordered them married. The common thread between Roy Moore's actions and Texas's is that they're pretty desperate. People who oppose marriage equality know that they're running out of options, which is why you're seeing all these last-ditch attempts to do something, anything. And they might delay marriage for a bit, or force people to take a bus to the next county, or threaten a family facing a terminal illness. But at this point, they know they're not going to win. And yet, they're still trying. Last week, Kansas Rep. Tim Huelskamp introduced a federal constitutional amendment to ban marriage. They tried this over a decade ago, and it went nowhere. And it's going to go less than nowhere this time. But according to reports, national anti-gay leaders are preparing to release a new proclamation to stop marriage equality. The title is Reclaiming Marriage, and they'll probably release it sometime in March. The people who've seen a copy call it a sweeping manifesto signed by pretty much the people you'd expect. But even this sweeping manifesto will probably be pretty weak. The only call to action in the entire thing is, quote, careful discernment over the next few years, and even that's expecting a lot from these people. Those are the headlines. Subscribe here on YouTube to stay up to date on all these stories. For the American Foundation for Equal Rights, I'm Matt Baum. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.